My name is Zack James. I'm here with John Noel with NOEL Laboratories.
Hello, everyone.
We're excited that you've joined us today. We're excited to be talking of this topic, and the topic we are discussing are impressions of the modern age. First and foremost, to give context for who I am, I've worked in the dental industry for quite a few years, mostly focused within the CAD/CAM digital impressioning offering, equipment sales and equipment support, and most specifically training on digital impressions. My time here with Noel Labs has been fantastic, and we're excited to share with you what we can do from our perspective on helping with digital impressions in your office. The history of Noel Lab goes back quite some time, and what I'd like to do is turn the time over to John to share with you where we come from.
Yes, my name is John Noel, and I own and operate NOEL Laboratories Incorporated. And my dental technician career started in 1969 when I was involved with an apprenticeship in the Frankfurt, Germany area. I completed that apprenticeship in 1973, at which time I returned here back to the United States. I freelanced till 1979. In 1979, I opened up NOEL Laboratories, and I've been a dental technician since. I've prepared thousands of restorations, mostly in the analog fashion, but now the digital age is here, and we've adopted the digital technology. As for myself, I've been around digital technologies for 35 years. I have experience in 3D medical imaging software. I have experience in rapid prototyping or printing since 1989. And I am so very happy that the confluence of all these technologies have come together to enhance dental restoration manufacturing. Having said that, we move forward.
Thank you, John. We're passionate about what we do. We're passionate about impressions, and why we're passionate about impressions is that really dictates how we can be successful together. When we consider when was the first analog or conventional impression taken, let's think about that. Can you think back when that might have been? I'll help you out. The 18th century, back in the 1700s, the first impression was actually taken using beeswax, and that started the whole modern phase of dentistry as we see it today. It's old technology, certainly. It's old technology, a conventional impression, but it's very important. It's critical to our success. In fact, it can be argued that nothing else in dentistry has as much impact as that impression. The problem, the challenge that we see is that with impressions come error, with conventional impressions. Unfortunately, the evidence suggests that 86% of final impressions submitted to commercial labs have at least one critical error, and 55% of noted errors critically involve the finish line. Why that is so challenging is for us to create a restoration, we must see what we need to build to with that tool, the impression. As we are successful in being able to see the margin, being able to see the contours of the prep, we can actually create restorations that are clinically acceptable and will have longevity in the oral cavity. Analog impressions, however, are prone to inaccuracy. As important as they've been to us in our craft, they are full of potential error. They can provide inadequate margin details. We've seen this time and time again, depending on how the impression has been taken. If the material has set up properly or not, that can create challenge for us. Internal bubbles within the material translates to inaccuracies in the model phase. Margin tears can be common. Materials have come a long way in becoming more and more robust. However, just the functionality of removing that from the oral cavity can create tears. Drags and pulls are also common, especially if we see material not setting up correctly because there is a potential error caused by other materials being within the field of restoration. Poor tray choice can also cause negative results when taking an impression. If the tray does not fit correctly, the dentition might impede with that tray and full occlusion may not occur. Separation from the tray also results in error for us. As that happens upon removal, the tray might separate, and then that material might polymerize fully in an altered shape, and thereby creating an inaccuracy for us to work with. Shrinkage is an issue that not a lot of practitioners talk about within their impression material. However, every single impression material has a shrinkage rate, and it is dependent upon the brand. Not all practitioners utilize the same brand of impression material. Choice is good, choice is great. However, what it does for us on our side, having to adapt to multiple rates of shrinkage within impression material can cause variability in what we have to work with once we create a model. Carbon chain-based polymers, they are hydrophobic. And as such, they do not allow the water to flow away when an impression is being taken. When that happens, that can impede our ability to get a good view of the margin. That can impede our ability to create a good restoration to fit to a margin. And we'll talk about that a little bit more as the science that is applied to try and compensate for that has some other effects that aren't so tasty. Again, another question for you. What does the average full analog impression cost? Here's a assessment from Ultradent, considering the cost of time within a practice, which is a very high factor in what a dental practice needs to keep track of to be productive. They're quoting about $100 per impression. What we see from the Compendium of Continuing Education in Dentistry, somewhere between $18 and $35. That's not relying so much on the time period it takes in taking an impression. Clinicians report November 2020, they estimate between $17 and $130. Is it $50? Is it $20? Where does that average lie? You can look at your own practice and see. We definitely know it is not free. Hello? I got it. One of the greatest impressions, we'll go back. Traditional impression materials might be between $18 and $35. That's quoted from the Compendium of Continuing Education in Dentistry. What we see then in clinicians' report is $130 potentially, from $17 to $130. It might be in the range of $50. You check within your practice, you check within your expenditures and see what that average is. What we do know is that impression is not free. One of the greatest costs of the impression, the conventional analog impression, however, has nothing to do with the material cost, or the restorations. It actually has to do with your patient and patient discomfort. You might see through marketing efforts and through word of mouth how many patients are coming into your practice every month. That's a very important number to be keeping track of and hopefully increasing month after month. However, how many patients are indeed walking out the back door for one issue or another? I can tell you that patients are uncomfortable with a conventional impression. And why is that? It tastes awful. When we see that surfactants are added to overcome the hydrophobic nature of the material in order to get some wetting of the moisture in the mouth, those surfactants, they're soap. And soap, as we know, it tastes yucky, not yummy at all. Personally, I've had this experience being a rambunctious child. My mother helped share with me maybe a better way of speaking with her, and unfortunately, I did get the taste of soap a couple times. It doesn't taste good. Patients are not coming to your practice for the opportunity to have surfactants in the mouth. No, they want to return to your practice to get a smile again. And they would like to have it in the most comfortable way possible. Conventional impressions are not that way. Stretched lips and cheeks, when those trays are being inserted and removed, a lot happens in that area. It's very uncomfortable. Some people with very tight lips, you might hear them squealing and screeching. Even those impression trays, when they bump into a lip, patients walk out with bloody lips. That's not something that patients want to receive on a daily basis. It does elicit a gag reflex. I unfortunately am one of those who I hear when I'm in the chair, breathe through your nose, because they would like to not have an accident in that operatory. I get it. It's challenging for some patients. It's very uncomfortable. For me, I do appreciate whenever I can receive a digital impression. Patients leave feeling violated. It's a very intrusive experience getting dental restorations completed in the mouth. That feeling violated is because we're violating people's personal space in a nature which isn't very comfortable. Individuals don't want to feel violated. They avoid places where they feel violated. And so if we can accomplish a means of making this experience less so, then I think our patients will be much, much happier. Finally, patients feel quite irritated if retakes require a return visit. I can tell you, week after week, every week of the year, we have to call practices and ask for retakes, which we understand requires a patient to come back in that practice to have impressions again. Something they didn't really love the first time, we're having them go through that process again. Unfortunately for us, as we receive impressions that don't have a full data set, we can't fabricate off of a guess. If we are guessing, then what you receive back into the patient's mouth may not be a good fit. And so we have to uphold that standard of the best impressions possible. Now, the answer to all of this and the reason why we're here today is digital impressioning. I'd like to go and see what does Gordon Christensen say about digital impressioning. Let's hear.
What do you know about scanning for crown impressions and fixed prosthesis impressions? Some of you know quite a bit. Many of you know nothing. Is this in your future? I guarantee you it's in your future. Scanning of impressions is more accurate. It's more adequate as far as infection control. It actually fits better when the crowns are brought back to you than your typical elastomer impression. It's time to look into it.
It's time to look into it. Strong words. These come from, I believe it was 2016. His opinion has not changed since, only he's grown louder in proclaiming the need for digital impressions. What we surmise from this is, indeed, digital impressions are the way to move forward into the future. It is the answer to the analog impression. And when you consider how to obtain a great digital impression unit, it is critical who you partner with. When we see many, many options in the market today, Cloud went and covered some of those options. Support does not come the same way from all organizations. The most important partner you can have with the digital impression unit is your laboratory. We have seen thousands upon thousands, tens of thousands of impressions come through our practice, and many, many, many digital impressions come through our practice. We have taken the time, the effort, and the resources to vet digital impression units. And what we have found is the Quick Scan iOS scanner really does what you want it to do. from a practitioner's point of view and from the point of view of a patient being able to receive a digital impression. Most importantly for us, we in the lab receive a fantastic digital impression through the QuickScan iOS. As we can help practices utilize that, they can be successful in getting the best impression to us or their lab, whoever they so choose. But what is critical in that process is a proper training. And a proper training paradigm and protocol is critical. Some manufacturers of perfectly fine digital impression units in the market today will ship that product out and provide you some videos. I can attest to the fact that those units are actually sitting on the doctor's shelves now. We've gone into those practices and actually helped train those practices to use those digital impression scanners. We know that to be successful, you must have a comprehensive and a completely supportive training paradigm, training protocol, and not just for 1 or 2 days at a time, but for going on and on into the future. And that's what we've created with NOEL Laboratories. Our offering is a fantastic offering. Let's consider that. The answer to your analog woes, the program that NOEL Lab is offering is to obtain a QuickScan iOS for only $25,000, $24,999 to be precise, which purchased this year will qualify for Section 179. Unfortunately, we believe that that will not be available next year as a tax vehicle. So let's apply that as soon as we can this year. There will be no monthly fees. Some of the other impression units we know have fees that are in the hundreds of dollars, $200, $300, $400 per month range on just the fees, aside from the monthly payment. Now, speaking of monthly payment, our monthly payment is $417 a month, but that's a 0% interest payment. We also provide with that a 6-month no payment program where you get to skip payments for 6 months. During your entire first 6 months, you'll be recouping the costs of those impression materials, but you will also be able to utilize this unit for quality digital impressions, and your payment won't start until well after your learning curve. This includes full on-site 2 days of training and ongoing support and training as needed. The value of that is $3,500. Truly money well spent. In reality, every dollar of training that you pay for and then get the value returned to you is probably a 2 or 3 to 1 factor above and beyond just the cost of the unit itself. The impact is very, very great because if you purchase a unit and it sits on your shelf, it's not doing you much of anything. There's not a lot of value there. So we commit to making sure that you'll be able to utilize this unit far into the future, but right off the bat, where you'll be able to recoup your investment. If you do perform to what is required in our training program, you will receive actually a $1,000 credit back to you. Now, that training protocol is simply utilizing that scanner a certain number of times within the first 20 days and making sure that we can dial in that scanner by considering the digital impressions and also comparing that to printed models. So we have this paradigm completely worked out, this whole program worked out, and any office, any practitioner, any assistant can fulfill with the requirements of that training program. We want to give everybody a $1,000 rebate check back to them because they've completed the training successfully. Why are we so excited to give that $1,000 back to you? We know that as you go through that training program, you'll be able to use this unit very effectively, and you'll be very pleased and happy with your purchase. Now, we have even better information than that. We've got a better program, and that program is called the Partner Plus program. This program actually allows for an offsetting of the monthly cost of the unit. When you partner with NOEL Laboratories and send cases to NOEL Laboratories, we will actually credit your account so much per the number of units that you do. If you're going to do 100 units with NOEL Laboratories or more, we will credit you back the entire monthly cost of that unit. If you do 50 units, your credit will be $209. $105 for 25 units, and $52 for 13 units. Now, what's interesting to note is, let's say that you're doing impressions and it costs only $25 is what you assess your impressions cost you, not $50, but $25, and you're doing 13 units a month. In reality, the real cost of that unit, because you're sending 13 units a month that we can credit you on for $52, is less than the cost of a cup of coffee per day. Less than $3 a day is the cost of that unit to you and your practice. If you send any more units than that, then by all means, you're going to be ahead and in the black. But don't forget, the real winner in all of this is your patient. They will be happier by receiving a quality digital impression, not having to go through the experience of a conventional analog impression. Your lab will be happier by receiving digital impressions. I know we'll be happier. And when this is all done, you will find that your patient's happiness will cause more and more patients to stick around and tell their friends about your practice. We're excited about this program. We're excited to be working with you. And if you would love to have a hands-on demonstration, feel free to give us a call. Our number is 1-800-575-4442. You can email us at info@noellabs.com. My cell phone is actually 805-748-2613. Look us up online. You can sign up for our portal, and we will show you exactly how easy it can be with a digital impression unit right in your office for a live demonstration. Thank you so much for your time. We look forward to partnering with you.
Thank you very much.